Good morning. We're so excited to have our former intern. Oh no, yes, our former intern, but still student Cherry on the call this morning. So Cherry, as we get started, I'll turn things over to you. Tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be in your current role.
Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you for having me. And it's very nice to meet some of you and see many of you again today. And I'm in Thailand. I just got here on Monday and it's 8:30 p.m. here. It's pretty hot in the rainy season. I'm sitting on the floor. My son and my husband are sleeping. Like they've been sleeping since 4 p.m. So we're still jet lagged. And I just woke up. You could see from my hair. Yeah.
Great, look great.
I hope it's not too hot in Massachusetts, and I hope you're enjoying the summer.
It just
Well,
got hot. It's been rainy. It's been rainy here. So today and yesterday.
yeah, I heard that from some of my friends too. Oh, yeah. So from my background, so I will tell my name again. My name is Krongkan Bovornkeeratiroj, and that's why many Thai people have nicknames, because our names are so long. So my nickname is Cherry. I am a graduate student at Wheelock, pursuing a master's degree in leadership, policy, and advocacy in early childhood well-being. And as Amy said, I was an intern at Strategy for Children during the last, actually, to be exact, during the last fall and spring semesters. And before I found my passion in early childhood field, I grew up in Thailand, and then I worked as a financial auditor for 6 years in Thailand. And then I came to the US and just volunteered to be a preschool teacher in Amherst. And that's where I started. And then, so the reason I joined the program at BU Wheelock was because I was very curious about, wow, what other great aspects of this field could be, because just spending time in the classroom, I saw so much. And I was so impressed of how teachers and children interacted with each other with respect, and how the emotional and social learning piece it plays very, very crucial roles in the classroom. Then I was impressed again when I learned about numbers of great leaders and advocates and nonprofit organizations supporting the early childhood field in Massachusetts. And then I was shocked, because behind that, there are lots of issues as well. And among those, so we are working on the accessible and affordable quality childcare, right? And in this complex and growing ecosystem, it's very, very challenging. And this made me wonder if there were ways I could contribute based on my previous experience. And when I was an auditor, I found numbers in financial statements and financial tools and reports help organizations, individuals improve their business models, increase their profits, and enhance their working systems. And I felt like this knowledge might be helpful to childcare business as well. Then I was so excited, started out my project, and I hope to study the factors that have contributed to the success and challenges of childcare business in various ways. And just by starting with comparing financial figures and tools they used. However, it wasn't as simple as I initially thought. Accessing to this data was difficult, since it is highly sensitive and confidential, and providers were not always comfortable sharing this information to people whom they don't trust, right? And I'm new to this field, and that is so fair. And then this realization made me appreciate the significant advantage I had as an auditor in accessing financial data, in like accessing the power of being able to interview any people that I wanted to. But this is not like something I can do here because of the role I am in. And then thank you to Melinda Weber, the Vice President of Shared Services at the United Ways of Massachusetts Bay and Merrimack Valley. She made a great contribution to this literature review. And then I found, well, the lack of accessing the data was not the only reason I couldn't compare those numbers. But in many cases, the absence of those data itself was the challenge, because, well, like this is like true for family childcare providers who were busy spending time with young children, and they have their limited time and experiences, technology, even language barriers, preventing them from just gaining the knowledge and utilize those financial tools for their businesses. And so my project changed from studying the factors of successful and challenging stories to literature review of what we already have in terms of numbers here in childcare business. And here is what I found, and I will start it out with the most important message first, just in case if I don't have time, then yeah, so you guys can explore the slides by yourself, because it's an interactive slide. So I will share my slide here. Let's see.
Thanks for all that background, Cherry. I think you did learn along the way. Incredible.
Oh, let's see. How can I do this? Please give me a moment.
We will. Are they open?
I am trying to, but it doesn't come out. I'm not sure why. Let me try again. Can you see any?
We can see the Zoom's like it's a Zoom screen. Yes.
Okay, let's see if.
Oh, you're like Marissa, who has many tabs open.
Yes, right. I have a hard time like organizing my life.
No, it looks like you. There you are.
Okay. Can you see? Can you see
You did it.
this?
You got it, Cherry.
Okay. Thank you for being with me. All right, it's loading. Okay, this is a more like interactive slide.
Yes.
So you will be able to find like information if you click in each circle. But for now, I will click this circle first, because I think it's the most important finding from this study is numbers and interviews with the focus on family childcare, and most of the information were on the EEC report and also from Melinda Weber. As I mentioned about the barriers of family childcare providers, these are all the summaries that Melinda Weber kindly shared with me that, well, I don't think it's their fault at all that they don't have time to explore the financial piece of their own businesses, because, well, most of them just not fluent in English, just like me, and just communicating is just very hard for them. What about numbers? Is this another kind of language? It must be very challenging for them as well. And many of them don't have access to computers, laptops, let alone like how to use them. And the space is another challenging thing, because so many times they rent like the space from landlords, and then they have to get a lot of approval and go through the process of getting the license to be able to open childcare business. And then this is a pretty big piece that Melinda Weber shared with me, is it's just the lack of knowledge and confidence of entering this field and asking for help. Like I just remember because when I first moved to the US, it was very, very hard for me just to make a doctor appointment. And just when to know when I could ask for help was very, very difficult too. And these also apply to them. And because they don't have like the knowledge and experiences in creating and monitoring the financial tools, and therefore to have the sustained cost models in their own business it is another step behind that. It's just, yeah, we need to take the first step first, so they have a chance to just explore these tools and just see it for themselves, that these are very, very helpful tools for their own business. And and luckily we have, I'm so sorry, here. So they actually gain some supports from Opportunities Exchange, from Chair Services, the United Way of the Massachusetts Bay and Merrimack Valley. And these, like, I would just click into the Opportunities Exchange as an example, that they provide the basic financial information so they can use as the guideline for their own business. Like, for example, so they could know that what are the key elements that they need to look for. Like, for example, the capacity of the children in the house are important, and like to monitor the collection process is very crucial for their business. And that was just an example. Despite all those support, still, it's so, I am trying to arrange the sentences in my head because like, so when I talked to Melinda Weber and I went through the financial figures with her, she shared with me that getting those numbers like from each provider, she had to like go through each one like one by one with them. And that was, wow, that required a lot of time to study those numbers. And then I was like curious about the report that the EEC had launched, right, to study the childcare, like the, how do I say this, like the subsidy rate and the market rate of the childcare business in Massachusetts. And then, as you can see here, based on the latest study about the market rate survey by the EEC in 2022, the subsidy rate is typically 50% lower than the market rate for infant and toddlers and preschool family childcare. And that means it's lower, like 50% from what they get compared to what they need to pay. And that was a huge surprise for me, because I started out with a lot of impression that, wow, this is so great, like the practice is so helpful, but how come the business model is like this?
I think that was so much of your observation, kind of as you came into this thinking as an auditor, about trying to find accessible data that you could compare kind of in good faith to make sure that it was representative of what was happening. I know we talked a lot about that, and just kind of this question around how do you even get this? So as you talked about, Melinda, having to work with each provider to get this information. And I think even you shared kind of when we asked for the information, most people didn't give it, as you talked about, and just that is, as you've said, is a huge barrier. Because if we can't understand it, it's really hard to advocate for or try to fix it.
Yes, exactly. And just fighting. So I try to search like what are the childcare financial models, right? And I just found there are all like, how to say, follow the same patterns. Like they get fees from the service, which like they get fees from parents, right? Or they have the grant funded for their businesses. And many of them have a combinations of both. And you know that they have to go through lots of process when they have many sources of income streams, right? Each of them have their own process, and it requires a lot of time. Well, it is good that they have many sources of income, but then it would be great if we can simplify those processes so that everything can be aligned, so that what they need to provide to the organizations or government to get the funding would be more simple, right? And then I was curious, then how much family childcare get like in a year? Right? Because when I explore the EEC report, so they separate between the income and expenses, right? And they didn't like usually like compare them together. And I don't quite know the reasons why it is that way, but I know that there must be good reasons for that because they have been studying these for years, right? And then so I just put the income and expenses together just to see how they get. As you can see here. So thank you, Melinda. So these information were from just like samples of family childcares, and I didn't get to see, I think, the names of the providers, but I only see like the numbers and samples of those actual numbers in the recent year. And here is what they get. Without the C3 grants, they get $8.57 based on just the samples per hour. And just compare to, right? So right here, I wrote that. So it's the average hour wage for preschooler teachers in public schools across the United States is 18.16, according to the data from May 2020 from the Bureau of the Labor Statistics. That is a lot lower. And if we compare to other alternative jobs that teachers could go for, because they also have to take care of their families, I think this is why, right? It's just clear for all of us, like why we cannot keep like great teachers. We cannot keep like highly motivated business, like childcare providers in the field. Melinda Weber, and if you want to add anything here, please feel free to do so. You're so welcome.
Wonderful, Sherry. Thank you. I would just like to add, there's nothing I love better than sitting down with educators and going through the numbers, because it's such like a personal, intimate conversation, and it highlights so much of the wonderful things and the things that are challenges. So thank you for highlighting it today.
Thank you, Melinda. And well, again, so the numbers that Melinda shared with me was from the recent year. And then earlier, Carroll Institute also studied the same thing, and it was also supported by Melinda, and it revealed the same, like similar number, right? So right here, if you see this, the average hour wage with grant income adjusted to 0, and that means without the C3 grant, what they get, like based on the capacity of their program, it's just $8, $9, and we know that this is not enough. And just comparing to how much work they do. And so as you can see in each page of the slide, there is an access to the full links, so you can read the full report. When you're curious about the detail of each numbers or each report, I think that was the main highlight of the study. So this study have 5 components. It has the detail about the studies, the process, and then the landscape analysis, what we have, what supports do we have in this field currently, for now. And then I dig down the numbers and interview with Melinda Weber. And then here it comes to the recommendation. For the recommendations, well, coming from the financial field, of course, I can see it for myself, like how financial figures are so important, and how financial tools can be a great help in business, in making the business success. And I just hope that in the future, that would be the study to gather like demographic data to collect financial information of both center-based and family childcare providers, analyze them, analyze each financial component, compare them based on the programs. I know that we have Boston UPK, we have family childcare, we have, what is it? Is it Horizon, right? Yeah, so we have many great programs. And I just wonder, right, if we could compare those to the public sector, it's the public preschool, for example, how those are like, it's like how they're different. And
Right.
just, I think to see the patterns, that will provide us the data that we want. Yeah.
And I think what we know Boston is experimenting, and they are now going to be working with family childcare providers in UPK. And so I think that will be another place we'll love to have Tiara Diaz on to talk more about this, because to your point, they had to figure out what the funding model and mechanism was going to be to support family childcare. So we can be learning in real time with the folks in Boston who have made this commitment to include family childcare, because it's going to need to look different and really think about what support is needed for providers.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Amy. Yes, and so because like we have so many funding schemes, right?
Right.
So I wonder if there isn't an easy toolkit for providers,
Right.
even for nonprofit organizations who are advocates and leaders, right? Just to like, if we can like inject some number, let's say if we add the funding $10, for example,
Right.
how the effect would be in the total financial statements, in the total numbers, and we just play with these figures, and then maybe it would be easier to predict like how much funding do we need for the quality childcare, and right? And because of that, we need data, and that comes to my long-term recommendations. Because like they're not like, I understand that providers are not always comfortable giving those confidential data to anybody, right?
Right.
I wonder if it's possible to have a centralized data. Before I came to the US, I heard about great things in the US, and I heard about how great the research field is in the US, right? And I thought like there would be like a data center or something.
Right.
And whenever the public sector, like nonprofit organizations or those who want to start their own project, would like to access those data to study and make, right, and create the initiative, then they could get the access to the data. But no, it's more like separated.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I just hope if we have that, and then we have some guidelines of how can we get those data out, how can we use them, so we can use
Right.
the same source of the data, and that would be more accurate.
And
Yes,
also, Cherry, you're a mind reader, because we know that UMass Boston is working on a calculator about quality childcare. And so I just connected with Ann Douglas, and they will be releasing that in the fall. So we will plan to have them come on the 9:30 call. But I think it's one of the answers, or one of the kind of ways to try to answer these questions that you have raised in your work.
yeah. So thank you, Amy. I'm looking forward to that 9:30 call.
Yes, we'll let you know.
And
You'll be back.
thank you. I think that's it. These are the resources. And so I think the link of this presentation is with Strategy for Children. So
Yes.
please feel free to explore and read them in detail if you want to and if you have time. And I just hope this would be like a good start for those who just want to study like childcare financial models, because I put sources of information together here. Yeah, just for the future study, so they don't have to start from scratch again.
Right.
Thank
Well,
you
Cherry,
so much for being with me.
we appreciate your work. I know Erin was on the call as well, one of your classmates from BU. But we're so happy you could join us, and a special thanks for making time when you are with your family in Thailand. We will look forward to your return. We will post the slides. It's actually a Prezi presentation, which Cherry taught us about as well. And so we'll put it in the 9:30 call, follow-up slides, which we'll go over next week when we can share more information about where they are, so everybody can make sure. And so as we think about next week on the call, we will be back here on Monday morning. Look for the invite for the speaker list. And we are just so happy to see Cherry again.
Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have a great summer.
Oh yes, Cherry, I'm gonna send you the chat because there was a lot of love. So we'll send that to you as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That means so much to me. I'm so excited and nervous and just
You did great.
very self-conscious about my Thai accent.
You did wonderful.
Thank
Thanks
you.
everybody for joining us. We will see everybody Monday morning. Have a great weekend. Bye.